Hello there, and many thanks for joining us again on the program. I am Imunia Marire. Last week, the media, that is the Nigerian media, was awash with statistics of the number of Nigerians who have been unfortunate victims of abductions and kidnappings across the country in the last 3 months. Some put this at over 3,000, with hundreds of millions of naira paid as ransom to the abductors by family and relatives of the abductees. Only occasionally do we hear of successful rescue operations by security operatives. The bandits, as we like to call them, have become so emboldened and sophisticated that they can now shoot down military fighter jets. Among the thousands of Nigerians reportedly in the den of the bandits are over 300 school children who were brazenly abducted from their schools in different parts of northern Nigeria in the last 3 months. They are the forgotten and perhaps abandoned children who have been left to the designs of their abductors. Now let's try and do some recap. On May 29, 2021, about 136 pupils of Salihu Tanko Islamic School in Kaduna, Niger State were taken away from their school in broad daylight. The abductors demanded a 150 million naira ransom. 11 of those pupils have subsequently miraculously escaped from their captors or have been rescued. 125 of those children are still in captivity as we speak. That's even after their parents have managed to pay about 55 million naira ransom in 2 tranches. Plus, of course, several motorbikes demanded by the kidnappers. Latest reports say they are demanding a further payment of 4.6 million naira and the supply of 6 more motorbikes. And then on Thursday, June 18, 2021, gunmen numbering over 300 invaded the Federal Government College, Birni Yauri, in Kebbi State, taking with them over 115 students and some staff of the institution. 3 of those students have reportedly died, while 11 others were rescued. The larger number of over 90 are still held by the bandits. Now, curiously, the location of such a large number of persons has not been found by the security agencies, not even after the initial trail that led to the rescue of the few students and staff and the killing of scores of the bandits. And just as beleaguered and traumatized Nigerians were still agonizing over the Kebbi abduction and the ambivalence of the federal government, bandits struck again, this time in Kaduna State, which has become the unenviable epicenter of banditry in Nigeria as of today. They raided Bethel Baptist High School, Damishi, on Monday, July 5, 2021, and carted away without resistance 121 students of that school, some as young as 10 years. They thereafter demanded for foodstuff to feed their captives and the sum of 60 million naira in exchange for the students. Last week, 2 of the students who obviously escaped were found wandering on the highway and rescued. And just yesterday, on Sunday, the kidnappers released 28 of the students, leaving 87 others still in their camps in the forest. Now, hardly a week passes by without news of one mass abduction or the other in Nigeria. Students, particularly in the north, have become soft targets. But the more worrisome aspect is that government appears to be doing nothing about rescuing the abducted, bringing the bandits to book, or taking steps to deter them from this criminal enterprise. The state of insecurity across the country is such that many people are afraid to move around freely. And they ask, how can Nigeria allow bandits and terrorists roam so free to dictate how other Nigerians should and should live their lives or should not live their lives and go about their daily activities? How can responsible institutions of state allow bandits hold over 300 pupils and students in captivity within the Nigerian territory for months, undetected and uncrushed? What is the fate of these hapless, forgotten, and perhaps abandoned children? Who cares about them other than their distraught parents and relatives? The forgotten children of Niger, Kebbi, and Kaduna states are our concern on the program today. We shall have two security specialists here with us in the studio, Mr. David Okoro and Manu Yagda, a retired Air Force officer. Both of them are right here in the studio. While we shall reach out to the chairman of the Kaduna State chapter of the Christian Association of Nigeria, CAN, Joseph Hayab, on his situation at the Baptist school, where 28 of those abducted children have just been released. And we shall also be talking with a journalist who is on ground in Kebbi State, Yakub Usman Dabai, who is a correspondent of Radio France International. Join us after now. All right, thank you so much for staying with us. People, politics, and power. The question is often asked, what does the country Nigeria owe its lawful citizens? Is the president of the country aware of the situation on ground? Does he remember that he took an oath of office to serve and protect ordinary Nigerians, the poor and excluded Nigerians, whose children, as it seems, are daily victims of abductions? Let's get to meet Mr. Manu Yagda, who is a security specialist, alongside Mr. David Okoro, another security specialist. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us.
I'm happy to be around.
Welcome. All right. We will also be joining Kaduna, where the chairman of the Christian Association of Nigeria, Mr. Joseph Hayab, will be joining us to give us a situation report on the ground here. And, of course, we'll be talking with Yakub Usman Dabai, who is a Radio France International correspondent on ground right there in Kebbi. But first, let's go to Kaduna State and join Joseph Hayab, CAN chairman, Kaduna State. Thank you so much for finding time to join us.
Thank you too for having me, and good afternoon to Nigerians.
Welcome. Will congratulations be in order following the release of 28 of the 118 students that are still in captivity of the bandits?
Every success, however small it is a success. So when you congratulate us, we are happy, and we thank you and thank Nigerians for their prayers and support.
So how did this happen? How come that only 28 were released out of the remaining 118? The information at our disposal is that the parents and indeed CAN and the school had been cooperating very well with these bandits. They demanded for foodstuff. You had prayer sessions, and we do not know whether or not you have made any ransom payments, but at least you have had very good cooperation with them. How come only 28 of them were released?
Thank you very much. When you see the tactics and the pattern the bandits are using, it is going to be wrong for any parent to start acting funny when you are dealing with bandits. We remember some months ago, they killed students of the Greenfield University and nothing happened. These young children are little boys and girls. Some of them are 10 years old. They just came to JSS 1 and they are going through this unfortunate experience. So as parents and as the school authority, we have every reason to cooperate with the bandits. We would have sound or behaved tough with the bandits if we have a government that is up and doing, putting them on the run. For the bandit to have access to give them food, it simply shows that they are in a comfort where they can cook. The fact is that Nigerians do not know this, but we gave them food twice because the first food they requested, we gave them before we started the negotiation. 2 days before they released the first batch, they asked for more food, and we have to oblige because we have no option. The bandits have caused us sorrow. The bandits have put our children in a very bad, traumatic situation that I don't even understand how these children will grow to be patriotic to this country, a country that's supposed to protect them. The bandits are the ones calling the shots, and we have to obey. We can only resist them if we have a government that will put them on the run and make things difficult for them. Our government do say that, no, we don't need to negotiate with bandits, but sadly, you can keep quiet. The truth is that many people don't understand this until you are a victim. The very night they kidnapped these children, my son schooled there. He was one of the luckiest children that escaped. But within that 1 to 1.5 hour that I was trying to calm down his mother to be sure that whether he was kidnapped or he's safe, I could see the trouble, the challenge I have calming down my wife, because as far as she's concerned, her son, is he alive? What is happening? So once you are a victim, you will understand the pains victims are going through. But once you are not a victim, you will speak fine English. You want to give terminologies because you don't even understand the pains they are going through. So I sympathize with the parents. I understand things are tough. But that's the best we can do. We wanted all the children to come back. We cooperated. We did everything they asked us to do. But the bandits choose in their own wisdom to say they will give the children to us in badges. But let me also put this record clear. The total number of children the bandit picked on that day were 121 children. Few days later, they released one child on held ground. And in 1 week, 5 other children escaped. Fortunately, 3 escaped and ran to their parents. Only 2 were wandering in the bush that we have found, and the police told Nigerians that they rescued them. So we had 6 that have come back, and then they gave us 28 yesterday, totaling 34. So we have 87 with the bandits, and we are still talking to them to help us release these children because they're supposed not to suffer these pains at all.
Are you disappointed, Mr. Ayab, that government that ought to be leading this process is not there for you parents and for the school and the children?
Yeah, well, you know, our government is doing something that is quite difficult to explain because sometimes when you want to explain, people may think that you are just being against the government. Our governor was some time ago came out and said that he paid bandits to stop killing in southern Kaduna. Then when this whole kidnapping started becoming difficult, the fact is that we raised alarm in 2019 and he tagged us as alarmists. But when it became clear that what we said is true and is happening to everybody, then he came out with another new statement that he's not going to negotiate with bandits. Now there is confusion out there because people are thinking, oh, the man is taking a good stand. He doesn't want to negotiate with bandits. But to those of us who are deep inside it, we are looking at it more from a political angle, not really an honest, because we've never asked him to negotiate with bandits. All we wanted from him is to invoke his constitutional duty and stop the bandit from even kidnapping our children. There's no way we can ask our governor to negotiate with bandits. If they stop the bandit from kidnapping us, you won't talk about negotiation. But you've not stopped the bandit from kidnapping us. And because they've not kidnapped your son, that's why you are thinking that we are talking about negotiation. So we are sometimes careful when we go into this discussion about what the governor do or not. Our concern is our children are in the hands of the bandits. We are doing everything humanly possible to bring them back. We thank many Nigerians who are standing by us, and we appeal that government should act and act responsibly because this thing must stop, or else it will be too much for us to carry in future. And once it reaches that stage, then even government will not even be there to protect and stop the people again.
Mr. Aya, please stay with us on the program. Let's cross over very quickly to Kebbi State, where Yakub Usman Dabai is a journalist. He was with us on the program some weeks back. Mr. Dabai, please update us on the situation with the children of the Federal Government College in Berni Yauri. What is the situation as of today? Mr. Dabai, can you hear us? Hello, Mr. Dabai? We can see you, but we cannot hear you.
He said his mic is off. Can someone in the studio put on his mic?
Mr. Dabai, please, you need to unmute your microphone. All right, we'll try and get back to Mr. Dabai right away. But back here in the studio, gentlemen, you have heard the current chairman in Kaduna State. He's also a parent in that Better Baptist School where 121 children, some as young as 10 years, were taken since July 5th. Now, before then, we had the Kebbi situation. And before Kebbi, there, of course, the Niger State situation. In the case of Niger State, those children have been with their captives for almost 60 days. And these are said to be little children who attend an Islamic school. The parents have been rallying around. They have been able to put together some ransom. So far, they say they have given 50 million naira ransom to the bandits and another 5 million to a so-called negotiator. So altogether, they have been able to put together 55 million, yet none of those children have been released. In fact, over the weekend, there were reports that the person who went to deliver the last 30 million naira to the bandits was himself abducted by the bandits because he said about 4.6 million of the money was missing. So here we are. This is the situation we find ourselves, Mr. Manu Jagda.
Thank you very much. Somebody who is very close to the government, when he says something against the government, people will say you are not loyal. But people have forgotten that the loyalty of individual is to the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and not to an individual. But I'm bold to come out here and say that government is not interested in handling the issue of this banditry. Why am I saying that? These are groups of bandits that went and abducted some small boys. And they came out and said, okay, we need food stuff. If you don't provide food stuff, your children are going to die. And church came out, they provided food stuff, went and supplied the foodstuffs. If government is serious, this food stuff that the church went to deliver, they are supposed to implant transmitters if they don't know their position. As soon as they collect the food stuff, it might be a very small transmitter, but at least the movement of that food stuff will be monitored, and government will know exactly where these people are. Now, if you know where they are, and you don't want go and attack them because you are afraid of colossal damage. Three things that government is supposed to do. Number one, you cordon the whole of that area. Don't attack them. If you cordon the whole of that area, give them 2 weeks. They will still come out to look for food stuff, or they'll come out to look for one thing or the other. It's very easy. That's number one. Secondly, we have this chemical that if you know where these people are, an aircraft can fly over the place and then spray the chemical. And once this chemical is sprayed, everybody, the bandits and the students, will sleep off. And they will not wake up until after a certain number of hours. That number of hours, since you know where the position of these people are, you can easily go there and pick them like grasshoppers. All this, they are aware, government is aware, and they are not doing it. Then if somebody comes and says the government is not interested.
So we are not taking advantage of intelligence.
We are not.
And technology.
And technology. Let me tell you something. there's no information that the government needs that they don't have. I'm telling you, if there's any kidnapping in this country, within 24 hours, government have every information against this banditry. How can a bandit have the bold, the audacity to come out and say, okay, you have to give me food to go and feed your children? And government will just keep quiet. It's absurd. It's something that somebody cannot believe. That's number one. Now that's number two. Number three, I'm not trying to scare this country. On the 7th of June, the president of France, Macron, came out and said, okay, he's going to downsize the Burkina forces that are operating in the G5 countries. He gave reasons. Frustration is there. Lack of cooperation from other European countries that he's fighting the war for is there. The death of Kebbi, which is very close allied to France, and the coups in Mali makes the area unstable. There are so many things why France wanted to withdraw. Now, France has started withdrawing Burkina Faso. They are going to close their base in Kidal. They are going to close their base in Tessalit. They are going to close their base in Timbuktu. If that thing happens in Mali, I will tell you the implication to Nigeria. If that thing happens to Mali, basically, they have more than 9 armed groups that are controlling northern Mali completely without government presence. But these 9 groups, they are divided into 2. One, they call them the Islamic extremists. They just want Mali to become a Sharia state, period. Then the other group are the real terrorist group that want to spread their ideology across West Africa by force. Now, these 2 groups were forced to come together to fight the government of Mali. If France withdraws, I wanted to quote him, if France withdraws, in the next 2 to 3 months, all the terrorists that want to spread their ideology across the whole of West Africa are going to flush out of Mali by the extremists. Because the extremists, they are the majority. The people of Mali don't call them terrorists because they know exactly what they're looking for. And they're not attacking everybody. They just want to fight the government and they make the state. By the time they move the terrorists out of Mali, where do you think they'll go to? They'll move to Niger. They'll move to Burkina Faso. From Burkina Faso, from Niger, they'll come to Nigeria. Because Lake Chad is like their hub. And that one will compound our problems. And Nigeria government is seeing. We have made this request several times, what Nigeria should do to checkmate it. The best they can do is for them to keep quiet. Nobody will challenge you. Nobody will tell anything, but the best they can do is to keep quiet.
Mr. Okoro, can we continue to call these bandits by that name, bandits, considering the fact that they now have the capacity to bring down military fighter jets, as it happened last week or the week before, when an Air Force fighter jet was brought down by these so-called bandits in Zamfara State, or between Zamfara and Kaduna State. Can we continue to call them bandits? Should we not now begin to call them by what they are, terrorists? The terrorists.
Well, thank you once more, Moni, for having me. I think we are facing a very dire situation. One that it looks very clearly that somebody had asked me, is government overwhelmed? It looks like government is unwilling to address the issues, like we've heard. If you want to track, okay, let me take your question directly. Bandits are a group of criminal elements. That's what bandits are, that usually are found in rural areas. They are raided to get food and money. But when some people that were called so-called bandits have acquired capability and capacity to bring down not just an ordinary aircraft, but a military fighter jet, then they of course cross the boundary of banditry to terrorists. Because what are terrorists? Terrorists are people who want to use force to change a government. And if a group of people have developed the capacity to bring down military aircraft. And by the way, it's not that government is not aware that the bandits or so-called bandits, which you have rightly said are terrorists, were planning, making efforts to acquire capability for anti-aircraft activity. Because if you recall, February, when Mr. Gumi came out and gave government free of charge some information that this is what we call open source intelligence, that there was an attempt by the bandits to acquire anti-aircraft guns, and people shouted him down, and nobody did anything about it. Remember, we have Air Force intelligence. That would have been a good opportunity for the Air Force to find out what was happening, because there's no serious country, no country on earth will ever allow any non-state actor in their country to acquire capability as much as that of anti-aircraft guns and the rest. Because it is not just military aircraft that are a danger today. The Nigeria aviation industry, or the Nigeria aviation sector is facing crisis, because the use and deployment of this equipment is in the hands of people that you classify as bandit now. And what do they want to do? They want to create maximum fear among the people. And so attacking, for instance, a civilian aircraft and bringing to death so many people will show an exaggerated sense of insecurity, and of course prove the point that the bandits or terrorists are trying to create. So you are right for us to begin to look now that these are not bandits, and we are dealing with a group of people that are clearly terrorists and that have acquired capacity that it's something that is fearful. But going back to all that we have had, it calls to question whether our government is really interested in addressing the banditry issue, because I have not heard that the young people that escaped were debriefed to say, okay, we don't even know where the bandits are. The children, were they asked any questions as how they left? People who go to deliver ransom, were questions asked? Because like my colleague here says, it is an easy thing. Bandits are asking you to deliver to them bikes, motorbikes. It gives an easy process. You rig those bikes, and for the next 6 months, you can track everywhere the bandit goes. Whatever they do, you put cameras there, you put audio, you put every kind of electronic device there, and you can track, you can map them, you can locate them, you can attach drone to. But you ask yourself, why is nothing being done? Why is the police not seem to be doing what they should do? The Secret Service is not doing nothing. The Air Force is not doing nothing. Military intelligence. What's the problem? I will not remove the fact that recently the Air Force have been going around to do some interdictions, but it's tokenistic, because that is not what we require. We require a full force. Look, we should agree that there are banditry or kidnapping in other countries. But when it happens, there is a government with the might of state to address it. The question is, where is the government of Nigeria?
That's the big question that we must find an answer to. Let's see if we can get across now to Usman Dabai in Kebbi State. If he's back with us now, if he has rectified his audio challenges. Well, okay, let's go on a short break. When we return, we begin to address some of these issues. All right, we have Usman Dabai back now in Kebbi. Mr. Dabai, thank you so much for joining us again. Let's get to hear from you what the situation is with these children, these students of the federal government college in Beni Yauri. I mean, they have been in captivity since June 18th. Hello, Mr. Dabai.
Oh, dear.
It seems Mr. Dabai's audio challenges are still there. But if you can hear us, please unmute your microphone and speak to us. Okay, let's get back here in the studio. Now, the question that is on everybody's lips is just the question that Mr. Okoro asked, but he put in another way. What is the role of government in safeguarding and preserving the lives of people and their properties? You know, if parents and religious organizations and schools themselves are the ones who are engaged in negotiations with terrorists, with bandits, for the lives of their relatives or the lives of their children?
Well, it is very unfortunate. I was listening to this this voice just released this morning in VOA Hausa service. And one of the pastors was asked, how did you people do it?
As the students of the Better Baptist
of the Baptists
in school, yes.
Yes. Now the pastor said they did everything with themselves. There was no input from the government, either from the state government or federal government. There was no input from the military or from the police or from the SS or from anywhere. Everything was left for the state. Now, for the church. Now I ask a simple question. If you see a community or a group of people arming themselves, does the government have moral right to say, okay, they shouldn't arm themselves? No. Because there was a time we wanted to do to recover arms from individuals. But I said you cannot do that now. Why? Because number one, you have to give confidence to these people that yes, even if they don't have arms, you are going to provide them security. That's number one. Secondly, you have allowed these people to import arms with their money. So you can't just tell them that they shouldn't do this thing. If you want that thing, after assuring that you are going to provide security, demonstrate it. After demonstration, you can now go for arm recovery. Then anybody who bought this arm with his personal money, government should be ready to pay no matter how much that person imported, because he imported it to defend himself. And now you have proved that you will defend yourself, then you have to pay for it. But after that one, you have to sensitize the people. So government now in Nigeria, I don't want to say it bluntly, but as far as I'm concerned, the government in Nigeria has failed in protecting the citizens of this country. So there's no moral justification for government to challenge anybody that want to acquire arms to defend himself. That's my stand.
Mr. Joseph Hayab, let's come back to the fate of these children and the state of education in northern Nigeria generally. There are many people who think that these abductions that have become so regular now will amount to a situation where there will be a denial of education, of the right to education by the average Nigerian child. And that many parents, and in fact the children themselves, will be afraid to return to school after this very harrowing ordeal that they have gone or they are going through now.
The truth is that if we reflect back, we will know that the ideology and one of the agenda of Boko Haram was to stop Western education. That's why sometimes you hardly can differentiate these bandits from Boko Haram and others, because they have successfully achieved that agenda through the instrumentality of kidnapping and this banditry. Now they don't even need to say Western education is a sin. Fear itself will stop you from going to school. Yeah. They don't even need to say Western education is a sin. The trauma, the pains that these children have gone through, their parents and the children themselves, they will tell their friends, the chances is that if they must go to school, then it will be actually in a secured place. So you can see that our governments are rushing to close schools instead of rushing to find solution to the problem. They're just giving in to the bandits and the Boko Haram agenda. So education is already suffering, economic is suffering, social life is suffering, everything about human happiness is suffering in Northwest Nigeria. And this is the challenge we are facing. Today, we have the children of Bethel Baptist School. Tomorrow, we never can tell which other school is going to come. In some of my submissions, I've always said that one of the things that baffles me is, look at the distance between the school and NNPC. The school and NNPC, the NNPC factory itself or petrochemical company itself is not up to 7 kilometers. The junction is just 5 kilometers to the school. Are we saying that with that facility, with that With the investment we have in NNPC, we cannot protect it over 40 kilometers away, because those who are within the 40 kilometers or 50 kilometers or 30 kilometers should be able to enjoy protection. If the bandits can come that near, then the matter is not just about education, it is serious. And Nigerian government must wake up. Nigerian government have focused more on rhetoric. Spokesmen of governments are talkative. They talk about what they cannot do, and they have weakened the morals, the spirit of the common man, because when you talk and you don't do what you say, you put a question mark and people no longer trust you. So when we go and tell people, no, believe in this, they just wonder, are we still in our senses? They have tested once, they have tested twice, and nothing came out. They've tested 4 times. I want to say this, that our government have failed in the issue of securing her citizens. And this is where we're having problem. In education, education is being bastardized because of banditry. Our security has no ground. Even our faith is being tested. So these 3 cardinal things that keep people together, I'm not sure how the future will be unless government deliberately wake up and put to a stop. I appreciate the other speakers, because the truth is that government can do this. Our children told us that one of the days, they just asked them to move from the camp, and what happened is that in that same camp where they were, military came and run over the camp. Who told them that they are going to come and they moved them out before they came? Something is wrong. Something is wrong. Nigerian, we must tell ourselves the truth and correct it, because when it gets bad and worse than now, no one is sure who will be safe.
So it appears that the bandits even have better intelligence, so it seems, than our own security services. If they had foreknowledge that the military was going to come to that camp, and they moved the children before the military got there and rolled over the camp. But very quickly, let's see if we can get Usman Dabai now on phone from Kebbi to update us. Mr. Usman Dabai, thank you. We apologize for the technical difficulties, but you can speak with us now via the phone. What is the situation with the students of the Federal Government College in Birnin Yauri?
The situation is terrible, because up to now nobody knows what is happening. The government has been saying that they will go and capture rescue the children and drive away the bandits. Now we are about 40 days. The children are in the hands of the bandits. No tangible information. No anything from the government. But just about 3 weeks ago, the unthinkable happened in Kebbi State. The parents of these children in Birnin Yauri attempted to meet and make a press conference in Birnin Yauri, the school where the children were abducted. Surprisingly, the government that is trying to rescue the children came and drove away these parents from that school and stopped them from holding the meeting. They went to Yauri town, which is the capital of Yauri Emirate, just a few kilometers away from Birnin Yauri, to hold the meeting in. Security operatives came and drove them away. The irony and the paradox here is, government says it is going to rescue the children. Now the parents of the children are meeting to voice out their concern about the fate of their children. And the same government used force, security force. It was not by this thing. The DSS were there, the police were there, they drove them away. And one of the parents actually talked to the president when the meeting was aborted. He said, what is actually the government afraid of letting people know? You say you are going to rescue. We say, well, okay, we want to thank you for your effort, but your efforts are not enough. Let us sit down and rub minds and find out how it is going. Because at that moment, there are audio records circulating on social media that came from the abductors saying they were given the ultimatum for the money they demanded to be given to them. Otherwise, they will start marrying off the children. Gosh. And a few weeks later, another audio came around saying that they've already married out 2 girls to the members of the banditry group. And up till now, and government is playing silence. Now, yesterday, Sunday, the people of Beniawari decided to go spiritual. They gathered people and prayed to God because they were not allowed to, one, where there are issues. And another issue again, the people of Yauri, the parent concerned, wanted to move to the state capital, that's Kebbi, to lay their complaint. That again was thwarted by the government. I find that now when people are complaining that the government is unserious, government doesn't know, doesn't want to participate in this security issue seriously, one, with all this thing happening now, one will have no alternative but to concur with them. Otherwise, the governor, Abubakar Atiku Bakuru, when the children were abducted, 5 days later, he was shouting at the government house. He was going to lead some self-help civilian JTF to go and rescue these children. But none of that happened. The governor did not go, the people did not go, but up till now, as we're talking in the entirety of Kebbi State, one, nobody knows where these children are. Two, nobody knows the condition they are.
Almost 38 days after their abduction, no word about where the whereabouts of these children.
Yeah, nobody knows the whereabouts. The people, and what disturbing is that these people keep making phone calls. Does it mean that the security operatives don't have gadgets to track and trace where these people are? But up to now, not up to date, nobody from the government, either state, local, or federal, has ever come out to say, we are negotiating with these people, all your children are here, all your children are there. Nobody from these three arms of government is doing this. And
Mr. Dabai,
so much
Mr. Dabai, let's leave it there for now. Just hang on. Let me turn to the security specialist here. Well, so it appears that the same tactics adopted by Boko Haram when they abducted, the first abductions took place in 2014, is what is happening again now. These bandits are marrying off the girls from that school. They are threatening to sell off the others into slavery. The same tactics that was adopted by the Boko Haram in the past.
Well, usually terrorists, there's a strategy they adopt which we call copycat. So if one terrorist organization carries out a particular scheme and they do it well, the next terrorist group, of course, wants to do it also. So the issue of marrying up the children is heartbreaking. But maybe we should also sometimes give the government benefit of doubt in some places, because I know that the government is putting together some things having to do with the Safe School Initiative. There is a presidential committee.
That Safe School Initiative has obviously not worked. That Safe School Initiative was put in place when schools in the Northeast were being attacked, but now we see more of it in the Northwest. So it doesn't appear as if the Safe School Initiative has taken place. And like he said, like Dabai said, I mean, these bandits are making telephone calls. And nobody, is it possible for these communications to go on without being traced?
What we are told is that the equipment to geolocate such calls are not available, and that under the Safe School Initiative, those kind of equipment will be procured, and that government was putting in place what they call security enhancement scheme that will provide equipment. You know, the Civil Defense Corps are the ones that the government agency that have the lead responsibility to protect schools. And I'm aware that the Commandant General had put together some very interesting data as to how many schools we have, how many are protected, how many are not protected, where they are. So we have that kind of document, and that they are put together a structure to be sure that the necessary community training and collaboration are put in place, the equipment are provided, so that over the next few months, you might begin to see a difference in what government intends to do.
But while all of that is going on, what happens to these over 300 children who are, I mean, those are the ones we know about. We don't know of the other ones that may have been taken without all the publicity that went with these ones. 302 or 300 plus children as young as 10 in captivity for so long. In the case of Kebbi, 38 days and counting. In the case of Niger State, over 60 days and counting. And then, of course, the one of Kaduna State since July 5th.
I think that's where it is difficult to understand what is happening. And what we need to do as citizens, like I already said, is to continue to mount pressure on government to ensure that you are talking about schools, the kidnapping issue is everywhere, you know, but it's to continue to put pressure on government until they do.
The schools have become soft targets, particularly in the northwest and the northeast. Mr. Yagda, what would be your advice, your final thoughts on this issue?
My advice to the government. Government must carry out a structural change in the security outfit. I don't believe that they don't have equipment. Because if you go and see the money they release to these security agencies, we have visited Nigerian immigration. We saw the type of equipment they have. We have gone to the Nigerian Navy. We have gone to the Nigerian Army. We have gone to the Nigerian Air Force. We have seen the type of equipment they have. Very bogus. But those things, they are not tangible. They will just go and bring something very bogus and then create an ops room and then show it. No, there must be tangible, there must be results from all the equipment they are buying. Not to decorate your office very beautiful. So there must be a structural change in the security outfit of this country by the federal government. That is all.
Well, going forward, there are solutions to these issues. The truth is that what is happening currently is that we are not applying those solutions. For instance, every school is situated within the community. And in those environments, there are law enforcement agencies. So because crime is local, you can see all this kidnapping is local. So what I will be saying to government is to ensure that we incorporate the communities that surround those schools into a collaborative system so that you have the schools, the community, and the law enforcement in that environment working to protect the schools in that environment. And that when there are issues, there should be a possibility to escalate the challenge to a crisis management center where support can come from. Now, let me try and explain this. It is true from the report of Civil Defense that we have over 82,000 schools in Nigeria. And 62,000 of that have no form of protection at all. So what do we do? And you know at the same time, we don't have enough military security police manpower. So what a strategist like myself will say we should therefore do is to have a cluster of security intervention in local governments, the 774 local government at the state level, so that when there are crises in the school within the local government, there can be immediate response from the response unit in the local government, and then the same response can come from the state. So you can be sure, for instance, the kidnapping that is taking place in Kaduna, if we have this kind of structure around, it will be possible to quickly mobilize resources to go to a particular location and address these issues. And I think that is what the Safe School Initiative should quickly look at.
No,
build the capacity.
Mr. Amare, let me come in here. Let me tell you something. What is the population of these bandits? Is it easier to handle the bandits or is it easier to provide security to the schools? I mean, it's observed. You can't provide security to all the schools. But what is the population of these bandits that we cannot take care of them? Providing security to the schools, that means you allow the bandit to have the initiative. Government should have the initiative and not the criminals. I don't need to go and provide security to my school. I will face you and then deal with you. So government should know how to handle this case better and let them stop forgetting about making money to go and provide security to schools. How many schools are we having in this country?
What you are saying, in fact, is that it appears that government is succumbing to the strategy of fear that the bandits are pushing out there, and that appears to be working for them. Well, of course, government, even if we go by Mr. Okoro's prescription, government must take the lead in mobilizing the communities and all the other stakeholders in ensuring that this is done and that we have security in these institutions and around our various communities across the country. Gentlemen, thank you so much for your time. We want to thank especially the chairman of the Christian Association of Nigeria, CAN, in Kaduna State, Mr. Joseph Hayab. Thank you so much for joining us on the program today.
Thank you very much for having me.
All right, thank you. And of course, our colleague, Yakub Usman Dabai, is a journalist
Yeah,
with
yes,
Radio France International. He is based in Kebbi, joining us to give us a situation report there. We do apologize for the communication challenges earlier on. Next time, I'm sure it will be better. Thank you so much, Mr. Dabai. Thank you a lot. And right here in the studio, thank you so much, Mr. David Okoro, who is the security strategist, and Mr. Manu Yagda, who is a security specialist. Thank you, gentlemen, for your time. That's our program for today. As we go, again, we appeal to governments at every level, local, state, federal, to see it as a responsibility, a primary responsibility to provide security for lives and property and ensure that our people, our children in schools are safe, not just today, but always. Bye for now.